The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another Game of Thrones Season 8 Endgame Theories video. Just as a heads up, I want to let you know the winner of the new giveaway has been selected and your name will be announced at the end of the video. About 1 month ago, I released a video where I listed the top 10 reunions I wanted to see the most, but today, I want to discuss some of the deadliest reunions we could see next season. What I mean by that is, if these characters come into contact with each other again, I think it will most likely end in bloodshed, since it is the last season. I made one of these videos before Season 7 came out, so I figured I would make one for Season 8 as well. This isn't a top 10 or top 5 list, so I'm not putting them in order of importance. I just wanted to go over the reunions I believe could result with at least one of the characters ending up dead. As we all know, there are a few characters that have a number of different enemies, therefore I want to get them out of the way first, because there are so many different ways these characters could die. So without further ado, let's begin. First, let's start off with Melisandre's reunions. Just off the top of my head, there are at least 4 different characters that could potentially kill her next season. As of right now, Melisandre should be on her way to Volantis. Why she is going to Volantis is still unknown, but she did say she would come back. When she does return to Westeros, I imagine she will be running into some of her old friends again. The last time we saw Melisandre was when she was on Dragonstone, talking to Varys as she was watching Jon and Davos arrive. Melisandre kept her distance because she knows she is not on the best terms with either one of them. Even though Melisandre brought Jon back to life, that doesn't erase the fact that she sacrificed an innocent little girl, who we all knew Davos loved very much. When Davos discovered the burnt stag he had given Shireen, he knew Melisandre had to be responsible for her death. I mean, Davos did witness Melisandre burning people alive at the stake, so it did not take a rocket scientist to figure out what had happened. This led to Davos confronting Melisandre and asking Jon to punish her for her crimes. Jon ordered Melisandre to leave the north, and if she had ever returned, he would have her hanged as a murderer. But then, Davos jumped in and said he would kill her himself, if she ever came back. I don't know about you, but Davos was pretty damn convincing in that scene. That wasn't a threat, that was a promise. Now, I would bet money we will see Melisandre try to provide some type of help against the Night King. After all, she has been one of the main people warning everyone about the Great Other. She has been preparing for this day ever since we met her, so I'm assuming she went to Volantis to get help, but this is where it could get interesting. The battle against the Night King will most likely take place in the north. Jon, Daenerys, and the Night King's army are about to collide with one another in Winterfell, or at least that's where I believe. Jon and Daenerys are heading up to Winterfell, and the Night King is heading down from Eastwatch by the Sea. So it makes sense to me that they would catch up with each other somewhere in the middle of their current positions. Since Winterfell is a major location, and it just happens to be the home of the Starks, who the Night King has an obvious connection with, it seems logical that the Night King would target that location. Now, the problem is, in order for Melisandre to help against the Night King, that means she will have to show back up in the north, and this is where we could get a deadly reunion. This could also put Jon in another tough position. If Melisandre shows up in Winterfell, Jon should enforce his orders. We all know Davos will expect nothing less. However, we also know they desperately need the help. So what do you do in this situation? Do you kill Melisandre for disobeying a direct order? Or do you let her slide because she is offering to help? What would you do in that situation if you were Jon Snow? There is something else we should consider because Jon and Davos are not the only characters that have issues with Melisandre. Back in the 3rd season, we were promised to get a reunion between Arya Stark and Melisandre at some point. Melisandre promised they would meet again, and we have yet to see this happen, so maybe this finally pays off next season. Now, what's really interesting is all these characters should be in the north at the same time, so when and if Melisandre shows up, she could be confronted from enemies on all sides. Arya has wanted Melisandre dead ever since they first met because Melisandre took Gendry away from her, and Arya knew Melisandre intended on hurting Gendry. So, not only does Jon and Davos want to kill Melisandre, but so does Arya, and maybe even Gendry. I mean, Gendry was the one who was going to be sacrificed after all, so I'm sure he would have a few choice words for Melisandre if they ever met again. And this could potentially happen if Melisandre shows up in Winterfell, or just the North in general. Jon, Davos, Arya, and Gendry should all be there by the time the Night King and/or Melisandre arrives. These are 4 separate reunions I am highly anticipating. I'm anxious to see what Jon or Davos would do if Melisandre dares to step foot in the North again. And I would also like to know how Arya will react when she realizes Gendry is still alive. As of right now, Arya has no idea where Gendry is. The last time she saw him, he was detained, tied up, and thrown onto the back of a cart as Melisandre had him taken away. When Arya finds out Gendry is still alive, she may no longer want to hurt Melisandre, but you also have to keep this in mind. The only reason Gendry is alive is because Davos helped him escape. It's not like Melisandre decided to not sacrifice him. She would have killed Gendry if it wasn't for Davos, so on the other hand, even though Gendry is still alive, that doesn't mean Melisandre will automatically get a pass from Arya, and that goes for Gendry too. So, it should be interesting when all these characters meet again. Melisandre could end up dead if she reunites with any one of these characters. Alright, now let's move on to Cersei Lannister, because as we all know, she also has many different enemies who could potentially kill her when they meet again. It's no secret, Daenerys Targaryen won Cersei off the Iron Throne and out of King's Landing, but the only problem is, Cersei does not intend on standing down and moving aside, which will eventually lead to a deadly fight for full control of Westeros. I don't see any other way around this, especially now that Cersei has lied right to Jon and Dany's faces, after they offered momentary peace while they dealt with the army of the dead. Not only did she lie, but she is also having Euron bring over reinforcements from Essos to strengthen her position as Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. We all know how this will end. It was foreshadowed at the end of the 2nd season. Daenerys will be left with no choice but to attack King's Landing, and by the looks of her vision from the House of the Undying, it appears like Daenerys will use her dragons to baptize the capital with fire and blood. Now I know Dany and Cersei have only met once, but there is a very good chance the next time they meet, it ends with at least one of them being dead. However, Daenerys isn't the only one who has beef with Cersei. The Starks have more than enough reasons to want to kill Cersei themselves. Jon could easily be the one to sentence Cersei to death, just based on everything that has happened between these two families. And we all know, if Jon passes the sentence, he will also swing the sword himself. But I don't feel like Jon will be the one to do this. I could see at least 6 other characters killing Cersei before I would pick Jon Snow. In fact, both of the Stark sisters have a better reason to want Cersei dead than Jon. I mean, Cersei has been on Arya's list for a very long time, and this is something Arya thinks about quite often. She had plans of going to King's Landing and killing the Queen just last season, but even though I don't think Arya will be the one to kill her, I still can't completely disregard the potential for it happening. This could be another deadly reunion, if Arya and Cersei would happen to meet again, and the same thing goes for Sansa Stark. Sansa has even more of a motive to want Cersei dead, because Sansa had to put up with so much of Cersei's bullshit over the years. Sansa has dealt with Cersei on a personal level longer than any of the other Starks. It would be satisfying if Sansa was able to deliver the justice to Cersei herself. There are so many possibilities when it comes to all the different reunions Cersei could have next season. I am confident one of them will end in bloodshed. But as we all know, Daenerys, Jon, Sansa, and Arya are not the only ones who could potentially kill Cersei the next time they see each other. Cersei's own brother and former lover, Jaime, could also try to kill her when they reunite next season. Cersei and Jaime have been bumping heads for quite some time, but it finally reached its breaking point at the end of the Season 7 finale. Fans have been predicting this for so many years now, and it might finally happen. Even though Jaime left Cersei, he still has the best chance of getting inside the Red Keep, without raising too much suspicion. In the books, the Valonqar prophecy does state Cersei will die by the hands of one of her little brothers. But as we all know, this can be interpreted in a number of different ways, so I won't bother getting into all of that again today. To keep it short and simple, let's just say there is still always a chance Tyrion could kill Cersei when and if they reunite. And the same thing goes for Euron Greyjoy. I mean, it's no secret. We all know Euron Greyjoy cannot be trusted either. It's safe to say Cersei has a lot of enemies, so she probably won't make it out of Season 8 alive. Another potential deadly reunion we could get is arguably the most popular one throughout the fandom, which is the reunion between Sandor Clegane and Gregor Clegane, aka Clegane Bowl. Their hatred for one another predates everything we have seen in the show. When the Hound was still a little pup, his older brother, the Mountain, shoved his face into the fire, just for having one of his toys. This has left him scarred for the rest of his life, but the moment the Mountain did this to his brother, It sealed his fate. The Hound let us know this during the meeting in the Dragon Pit. Right before the meeting begun, he confronted his brother and reminded him, "You know who's coming for you. You've always known." This was teased in the very first season, but it will finally pay off in the final season. The next time these two brothers reunite, at least one of them will end up dead. The next deadly reunion I want to mention is with Theon Greyjoy and Euron Greyjoy. It was only a matter of time before this happened. Euron is way too dangerous and reckless. He needs to be put out of his misery. As of right now, Euron is allegedly heading to Essos to pick up the Golden Company for Cersei Lannister. Theon is trying to track him down to find his sister, Yara, but no one knows if Yara is actually still with Euron. I think she is most likely still on his ship, the Silence, but there is always a chance Euron had her imprisoned on Pike, as he goes gallivanting across the sea. Either way, Theon will find his sister, dead or alive, and he will have to confront his uncle, along with his fears, just like the Hound will have to do next season. When Theon catches up to Euron and Yara, I don't see this confrontation ending without at least one of the Greyjoys getting killed. I believe Theon and Euron will have a deadly reunion sometime next season. And last, but certainly not least, is the reunion between Jon Snow and the Night King. These two characters have met before. In fact, they've had two epic stare-downs so far. They stared each other down at Hardhome, and they stared each other down at the Frozen Lake. Something tells me the third time will be the charm. The next time these two meet, one of them must die. No more running, let's end this the old-fashioned way. Now, obviously, we will see the Night King destroy some things with the dragon, but I am hoping Jon gets the opportunity to challenge him to a sword fight. I want to see what the Night King is capable of, and I want to see what Jon Snow can do when he is pushed to his limits. The Night King doesn't carry that weapon on his back for no reason. Now, I know he did kill the three-eyed raven with his ice sword, but that hardly counts. He struck an old man in a tree that wasn't even moving. Let's see if he can do that to Jon Snow, someone that has a Valyrian steel sword and years of experience with fighting the dead. Now, obviously, I don't think Jon will do all this by himself. However, I do believe Jon will deliver the final blow to the Night King. I think Daenerys will provide the cover fire from above that will allow Jon to get into position to even challenge the Night King in the first place. And of course, Bran and Sam will play their part too. I'm assuming they will make some kind of discovery that reveals how the Night King can die. It can't just be as simple as stabbing him, or at least I don't think so. I think it will either take a very special weapon that we haven't seen yet, or he may need to be struck or stabbed in a specific location on his body to drop him for good. But let me know what you think. Are there any other possible deadly reunions I did not mention in today's video? Leave your thoughts or questions down below in the comment section. Now it's time to announce who won the World of Ice and Fire book. First, I just want to apologize in advance if I mispronounce your name, but the person who was randomly selected is Jaya's Shadow. Congratulations, just make sure you email me your address, that way I know where to ship the book. If you did not win, don't worry, there will be a new giveaway announced in about 1 week from today. Anyways, I want to thank all of you for watching the video, I really appreciate that, and I also want to thank everyone on Patreon for your support. Have a great day, I will see you all again very soon. Bye.